Hey, Vinity, what's going on, brother? How you doing? Man, long time no see. Yeah, man. Took a couple days off. Um, I don't know. I mean, you ever just like feel like taking taking time off? How you been? I think. How do I communicate? If you can't hear me, is there a way I can type it into my? Oh, okay, so you can hear me. Okay, cool. I see you. Sorry, couldn't. I've been here for a couple of streams. Just too busy nowadays. Everything going on with you. Yeah. So yeah, I've been likewise. I've been busy too. Well, as busy as I can keep in like sort of like the rural uh, Southeast Asian countryside. Which you know, if you live in a rural countryside area, I guess you know you could probably take it a little slower than. But then you could probably do the same thing wherever you are. Just take it slow. And that's what I've been doing, taking it slow, you know. But I've been doing another thing that I did is that I I'm trying to clean myself of all like toxic toxicities, like I don't smoke and I don't drink. I haven't not smoke or drank for over 4 years, and those are poisons, and but like other toxins, like I take a medicine for my heart, like I think it's a mild one, but it's like for like high blood pressure or something like that. And then I was taking um Xanax, antidepressant, and I started I I think I started getting addicted to them because I was taking more and more of them, and I'm pretty sure I was getting addicted to them, and it influenced the way I was seeing the world. You know, I just thank goodness that didn't last a long time. Like I didn't go years or months. I mean, like you know what I mean. Like you sometimes you see. As Vinicius says, I don't know if you know this or not. There is a delay between me and you. So if you say hello, I get the hell like 20, 30 seconds. Yes, yes, sir. I do know there is a delay. Appreciate that. I tried to put it in to make sure because like I was gonna do some other kind of streaming where um like I used to play poker, right? So like I had this like fantasy that I was gonna become like a poker professor, be a poker professional and stream and stuff like that. So like I don't know, 15 years ago or whatever, how long when I made the set, initially made the setup, I put a time delay on it because you don't want to reveal your whole cards and get sniped or whatever. Anyway, I don't play poker anymore. Um, I still do like, even though my wife has done a lot to restrain me to make a bet every now and then, and hopefully I make a bet today. As a matter of fact, you know, because we gotta. Who do you think's gonna win today? Inouye or Crawford? I don't know if any of you are boxing fans or something like that. Like, here's the thing about boxing, as I think it's important is that as a sport. I enjoy it. As an act of violence, repudiate it. So there was a period of my time of my life that I wouldn't watch boxing or MMA. I don't really watch MMA, UFC that much anymore. But because it's just to me, I don't know. Maybe it's just a little bit too violent. I mean, I know boxing's violence, so is wrestling, but so is human nature. So in a competitive arena, um, in a competitive arena where people have have relatively amount of safety nets around to protect them from taking unnecessary damage. You know, I do. I feel guilty in saying that I like boxing. You know, I mean, I don't know. I just feel guilty in saying it. Like I shouldn't, you know, be saying it. You know, but, anyway, but I do. And I'm going to watch in a way Crawford later today. That's probably in about. Well, I don't know what time. I think the main card starts around in 6 hours from now or something like that. I'd love to stream it. You know, right? I mean, right. So it's like it's not. So like, that's exactly what I mean too about say about boxing. Maybe I happen to be know a few more fighters, but I think you nailed it, the essence right there when you say you don't know about boxing, but you know about a few. So it's really about the character also. The character, like if you had a boxer who was a champion, like everybody knows about Muhammad Ali, right? Because he was such an articulate person. You know, I get choked up even thinking about it. You know, because it encompasses our struggle through life, and we all struggle. You know, so I guess that's why some of the parts that I like certain like boxers, Muhammad Ali. You know, and I love Mike Tyson. Um, think don't know much about Rocky Marciano. I think he's been like sort of like uh, I mean I know a little bit about him just because like in the '80s I used to work as a janitor and there were, there were a couple of older Italian guys in the '80s. They were in their '60s, so I guess that would make them I don't know, like 150 years old right now. But um, they would all say that Rocky Marciano was the greatest. You know, Marciano is the greatest. He's the only one, 50-0 undefeated. And you know, the funny thing is that like it's like you like go into it like actually like I because I have I know like looked into it a little bit. Like I haven't been a big Marciano fan. I'm sorry. It's just like I don't know that much about him. But he did go 50-0, and he was a heavyweight. You know, maybe I'll look more about it. Maybe it had something to do with his character. I don't know. Maybe he wasn't appealing to to public character. Maybe he was braggadocious. Maybe he was a wife beater. I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, the guy was 50-0. He beat everybody. You know, I mean, like why don't nobody ever, I mean, not nobody, but people hardly ever mention him as the greatest heavyweight of all time. You know, I don't know that he was or isn't. I've seen some of his fights. It looked a little funny to me, like you know, like the style and everything like that. And I'm like thinking, there's no way he could survive against like Ali or Tyson or something like that. But Xfinity, you asked me, who do you think is better, Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali? Well, I mean, you know, so like just on a purely better as in like who is the better technical boxer? I would definitely say that the technical boxer the better one, more defined, better trained, with more experience to look back on, and with better coaching, was absolutely Mike Tyson. You know, I don't think that Ali would have lasted the distance 15 rounds with Tyson. Like prime versus prime, it'd been a very bad night for Ali. That's what I think. Prime versus prime, Tyson versus Ali would be a very bad night for Ali. Now I would be rooting for Ali. I get choked up even just thinking about it. Oh, but anyway, yeah. So like that's like a thing. I think it'd be a bad night for Ali. But I think that Ali was definitely more of an innovator than a discipline. I mean, he was a disciplinarian. Like Tyson's 100% disciplinarian, Spartan warrior. Like you know, crushed him out of at him. You know, he'd say jump and he'd ask how high. You know, that kind of shit. So like Tyson's definitely very, this it was very disciplined. Uh, in his craft, and a student too. And he had a great, yeah, he had a great teacher, trainer. So I definitely think that Tyson. Good morning. Yeah. I definitely think that Tyson would have beaten Ali. You know, and I don't think it would have been a good night for Ali, to be honest with you. And you know, I wouldn't even want to see them fight. Actually, to be honest with you, because you got to have a little bit of rivalry or something. You know what I mean? Like, I guess it's like human nature. Like, I don't really know. I don't think I don't want to see. I wouldn't want to see them fight. Maybe I do. I don't know. Maybe I do want to see. Maybe I would want to see them fight. I don't know. It's weird. It's like a moral dilemma. Xfinity definitely would have done a lot of damage to Ali. Right, Mike Tyson's punches. If you look at one of the old videos, look so deadly. It's because he trained like so accurately and disciplined, and I mean he and if you watch the documentary, you should check it out if you haven't seen it. Documentary on Mike Tyson, um, where I think there are a couple of them. I'm not sure which one it is, but like definitely like whatever the most high rated documentary there is on Mike Tyson, and you watch it, you see like his early years, you know, as a student, so determined, so uh, disciplined in his craft and what he was doing. He found purpose and reason, to do what he was doing, you know, and become the best probably ever, you know, the best ever in the heavyweight division, But that's what I think. I don't know. Yeah, you think also it would be, so, but do you think that in the 15 rounders that who do you think would have won in a 15 rounder like Tyson versus Ali in 15 rounds? I have to check my shoelace in a second. Check it right here. Wait. Okay, got it. Tie my shoelace. The thing about like Marciano is like I think he weighed like 212 pounds. You know, and that's a light. That's a light for isn't that light for a heavyweight? I don't know. You know, they're always lying about the stats about the height of athletes and stuff like that. Like if like a few times I like bet against Conor McGregor, uh, right? Without seeing like they I don't know how they do it the way, and they must have different heights on the scales or something like that. Because when they get in the ring together and they're standing like fighting each other like man to man, and there's like a totally different size difference. Like that they'd be lying about that all the time about people's heights and weights and everything like that. So a lot of times like McGregor was fighting people who were like literally like half his size. Anyway, Xfinity says, "Hey, unfortunately, got to get to bed, but before I do, I'm sorry I haven't been joining the stream a lot nowadays, but I really hope you do find that someone that watches you consistently. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much. I'm definitely happy that you stopped by. I hope all goes well for you and everything in your life, and goes as well as it can. Look, we are just insignificant beings, right? So just try to have as much peace as we can, peace and good health for as long as we can. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you. I appreciate you and look forward to seeing you the next time. And definitely, if anybody ever hears about Xfinity's animations and stuff like that, you might want to check out his channel because Xfinity is an animator and it's got some good stuff out there. Thank you, Ralph. That's good to see him. Trying to see him a week. Always positive vibes. That's nice. And as a matter of fact, pretty much I don't know. I don't think there's ever been any really negative vibes on it. Anybody in the channel, really, but I mean, at all. But Activity is definitely one of the more positive people out there, keeping it positive, keeping life positive as much as we can. Right? That's all we can do for each other is keep it positive. You want to be negative? Yeah. There's a lot of people out there who, enjoy living in misery. That's something we're fighting against. That goes back to the whole thing I was talking about was I was detoxifying my body because I had at one point been prescribed Xanax as an antidepressant, right? So I guess that's how the whole conversation started. That's why I hadn't been streaming for a couple of days because I had started increasing the dosages of my Xanax use, and I don't know. I mean, like I was getting up to like 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe milligrams, something like that. I don't know if that's a lot or not. I mean, I think it is a lot. Oh, look how beautiful this is. Hold on a second. This is a treat, I think. Hold on a second. Let's see. You get to see it. Something's going on here at 5:53 in the morning. Oh, wow. Look at that. That's amazing. I don't know if the building was even here last week. You see how beautiful it is. Was this even here last week? I don't know. I know we passed by here. I've never seen it like this. So maybe the lights were off and the lights are on now. Well, I don't even remember seeing this building being here. You know what I mean? So that's pretty wild. I mean, they couldn't have built it in a week, right? I mean, they could have, but I guess it's possible. But wow. I mean, I remember the building in the back. I remember talking about serpents running up the stairs. I passed by here for years. I don't ever remember seeing this building. And so now, that's amazing. How could I not notice that? That was really beautiful. That's amazing. Like you go out for a walk and see something you don't totally don't expect, and like um, I think that was pretty awesome. Pretty awesome sight. Anyway, so I decided to totally cleanse my body, while I have the opportunity. And so when I say when I have the opportunity is that like I can really focus on my mental health, like focus on my pretty much kind of be selfish in a way, like just focusing on myself. And I don't know if that, I mean, really is the definition of selfishness, but it's sort of like concentrating on the things that I need to concentrate on, which, just mean probably just menial work, like house cleaning or I like to write, I like to read, I like to mess around with video editing and stuff like that. So doing these kinds of things, I definitely like to do a little reading, a little bit of cooking, playing with the puppies. I haven't played with the puppies in like this is bad. Like in 2 days, I think, since they moved out of the office. They had to move out of the office because they weren't housebroken, but we couldn't, because we live in an area with snakes and stuff like that. Like snakes still eat them, or other dogs or what, so whatever or something. Because they had lost their mother so early, they were like just 1 week old, and we had to bottle feed them and for a while, stuff like that. So you had to have them, under supervision, um, for the first 4 weeks. But they stank up the they stank up my office something fierce. Which I mean, I don't really mind. I don't. It's so lovely, you know. I mean, what's not to love, you know? So, yeah, so that's just like trying to clarify my mind and also have clarity of thought. Like, there are sometimes people will infiltrate your life, and maybe they could be a relative, even maybe they could even be your wife or your husband, or brother or sister or something like that. And they have toxic ideas and toxic behavior and just like such toxic evilness is like the only way I can describe it. It's because, and I say evil because I like experience with, and then I'll have to tie my shoelace again. Hold on a second. Let's put this right up here. See if we get out. There's going to be any kind of a shot. How about that? Hold on a second. Just so you look at something while I tie my shoe. Um, they have such evilness, and when I mean evil, I don't mean spontaneous. People who act, obviously, right? I mean, I think you can all agree that people that act out in aggression and spontaneity. We might as well take a look at take a look at the water. This is the edge of town. Uh, Pretty nice, But yeah, so like not only can you know be poisoning yourself with cigarettes and alcohol and pharmaceuticals and opioids and, or whatever, but you can also be poisoning yourself with the programming of your brain. And sometimes you can do it to ourselves, or sometimes people can have an influence on us that influences how we think and what kind of actions we take, how we behave, respond, and stuff like that. And if you talk to one of these people who know that they do it, they'll tell you, they give you all sorts of references as to why it's not true, and stuff like this. It's your fault, you're the one who did it. You're free, you have free will and stuff like that. And I believe in free will, but if you, that's a very, and I gotta keep the argument very basic, is that if you look throughout history, when hundreds of thousands of men went to their deaths because one man or one idea, you can pretty much rule out that every single one of these people who did this, you know, had, really thought out about what they were doing. Maybe they did, maybe they did. I don't know. Maybe it's all simulation. It never happened. Maybe the Holocaust never happened, right? That's all in the simulation. Maybe Japanese death camps, American death camps, Iran, Iraq, all the states. None of that happened. None of those people died in Afghanistan, Russia, Ukraine, Europe, Asia, the whole planet. It's all myth, you know, because all these people, they had their free will, right? So, but you get these toxic people, and they're aware, very keenly aware of the weaknesses in human psyche, and that's what makes them so dangerous. You know, you know what? I think I want to go a little bit further down today this way, a little bit more of a walk, and also change up the scenery a little bit. So yeah, so that's the thing is, people definitely can be programmed, by other people. I mean, this is always just not even like debatable topic. It's like, you have mothers programming their children how to eat, what to eat, what to believe in, stuff like that. I mean, like, it runs, you know, it can run deep into, the human psyche and stuff like that. And humans are weak. Human beings are all weak creatures in many ways. Very strong in some, but in many ways, very, very weak. You know, And I don't know. So I've been going through it a little bit. I mean, I'm glad that I don't take the Zoloft anymore. Um, I noticed like immediately when I stopped taking it, like the synapses and neurons in my brain were like coming back to life, and I had like waves of emotion and stuff like that. And I was like, wow, I mean, this is really is a very effective chemical substance compound or whatever, that uh, the humans, even the scientists, doctors or pharmacists probably don't even know like the full details of how this shit works, to be honest with you. That's what my belief is, you know. But they sell it, you know. They sell it, people buy it and consume it. And I'm just happy that I'm glad that I'm not. But there's a the flip side of the coin is obviously I there was a reason why I wanted to take Xanax and other stimulants in the past in my life. It's because maybe I have some sort of emotional problems. I guess you know um, maybe I guess probably. I would have to say that I'm a human being, so that just automatically qualifies me for having emotional problems. Because if you're a human being, you have to have emotional problems. That's what makes you human, right? Anyway, some things that I just didn't want to think about, still don't want to think about. Um, but it is what it is, right? I guess that's one of the sayings there is out there. No, you know. This is nice. We got a little bit of an extra walk in, put in a little extra mileage, kilometer age, um, going down this highway. And if our bladder can handle it, we might even grab a cup of coffee on the way back as we go. So that might be pretty cool. But at the moment, we're just chilling, walking down, watching people get up, getting ready for the day on this. I think it's Sunday the 13th, right? Well, I know it's the 13th. I think it's Sunday, right? So stimulants, like even like coffee, right? That's just good to stimulant. I was thinking maybe I should cut that out too. Even though I just mentioned getting a coffee, you know, but there's this dopamines in my body that say, "Hey, coffee sounds like it might be a good idea." You know, caffeine's good. Caffeine's good for you, right? I just kind of want to walk up to this sign here and just take a look at it. That's kind of interesting looking sign. Something government works. But oh man, I think we're gonna have to turn. They have a walking bridge, right? Uh, like to walk across the highway. That's probably like the smart thing to do. But it is so early right now. I think I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world to walk across the street, even though be super careful because there is a walking bridge right there, right? And that's what I'm supposed to be going over, right? And so the motorists, could be driving like this guy with like almost no headlights on. But imagine he's going 100 miles an hour, you know, it could be a bad accident. Uh, for him, this motorcyclist with no light on, you know. So probably should have walked over the. You know what? Next time I will walk over the walk bridge. Well, here's some sort of an abandoned, or it's more abandoned than renovated, but it could be. Oh, someone's going to be doing stuff. That's for sale sign. do like walking with into the traffic rather than against the traffic because wow, look at this. This is kind of funny. Not something you would really expect to see in English in Thailand. I think this is really awesome. I think it's so awesome that let's get a little bit better view of it, and I'm going to flip it later. I think that is really awesome. Sorry, try to adjust headphones for a second. I think that was really awesome. That was like so weird, you know, kind of weird, right? Like it depends how you look at it, though, right? And, like how you read it. Yeah, I suppose. Follow me. Okay. Maybe they meant like follow me like on Facebook or YouTube, right? Maybe they meant something totally different. I don't know. Like a smiley face killer. I don't know. I have no idea. It was weird. Definitely not something I've ever seen around here. That's two things today we saw. One was the Watt lit up like that. And it's like I have no recollection of ever seeing that building being there inside of that Watt, even though I've walked by it for years. I'm sure it has to be the Mandela effect, you know, or something like that. You know, for some reason, just because maybe it's lit up or something like that. You know, so it has to be. I think I don't know. I'm gonna find out. I'm definitely gonna have to ask my wife about that. You know, I've to ask my wife about that. And, why somebody about it. Beautiful sky, that's for sure. Soon we'll be back on the path towards that we normally take. Not too long from now. Uh, I've been feeling a lot of regret lately. You know, I wonder, you know, if there are people. I'm sure there are. You can probably look it up, find out a little more information about the feelings of regret. You know, but I have tremendous feelings of regret, like letting people down. When I'm in certain circumstances, other circumstances of losing my, I have regret for losing my, my full control over myself and some of the things that I've said in the verbal altercations with people online or in person. So I have big regrets about that. Now, um, you words can hurt people, you know, and like I'm probably pretty good at it, you know. But I know words hurt me, and I know words hurt everybody. You know, just the other day, somebody got killed for words right in front of the world. You know, so I mean, there's terrible things happening out in the whole world out there too. You know, like I see some videos. I don't know if any of you people out there in the internet world on this channel know about what's going on in Nepal, but let me tell you, I saw some pretty horrific things um, coming out of the news, coming out of Nepal, and I don't see any of it really on Google News. Don't see too much of the Associated Press, or, you know, anything like that. But basically, the government is fallen in Nepal, and what the effects of this is, and what maybe one of the reasons it's not documented, I don't know. It's just speculation. Again, on my part, is that if Nepal's government falls, like I think it has, then then uh, then there's going to be some issues about um, borders, primarily between China and India, because Nepal is a buffer state, right? So if Nepal's government falls, certainly the Chinese government they're looking to get their hands on Nepal, just like they did Tibet. You know, so and certainly I don't. I would imagine the same would be for uh, India. I think Nepal is mostly Hindu. I could be wrong, but if they're mostly Muslim, they probably want to go to Pakistan or look for an ally. You know, or be consumed by India. So it's a kind of a big deal in a way, right? These kinds of things have like very big ramifications throughout the world. You don't see, or at least I don't see. But then again, I'm not like a news junkie. I don't consider myself like. I look at Google News maybe twice, thrice a day. Uh, and I look at Associated Press maybe once a day, and I look at Reuters maybe once a week. Um, and then I have, of course, if I go to Google, so, obviously things pop up when you just open up the browser, right? So I guess in that way, I do look at the news every day, but it's being fed through the browser. But anyway, that's a big issue. It's not too far from here. I mean, monks used to walk it from here to there. Probably still do. Probably be a week's walk, maybe. That's not a long time. I've been interested like maps and stuff like that, like for different reasons, right? So, like history, like human history, like is defined by maps, right? Civilizations are defined by borders, maps, ideas within those borders, right? So it's like the whole cellular structure. So like I've always been interested in sort of seeing how like borders change and stuff like that because it's just really an imaginary human thing, right? I mean, you have uh, differences, I suppose, that could define a border. Plus, you have islands, but generally speaking, if you're talking about large land masses, you know, if the borders aren't divided by water or mountain ranges, canyons and stuff like that, people mix to a certain degree. You know, so I was gonna get a cup of coffee, but the one I don't think my bladder could handle it. I gotta get back to the toilet. I don't want to pee outside. I don't want to. I don't want to give myself a bad look. I don't want people to see. You know, you know, because I'm like the only Westerner around here. If they see me peeing on the street, that's I want to get that label for the rest of my life. That I'm here, and I already have a few labels that I want, you know, or deserve. But that being said, that's why I won't, you know, urinate if you tell me I can. Well, normally in Thailand, there's always a lot of public bathrooms, um, especially along the highways and stuff like that. That's something that's lacking in the United States. I found it's like sometimes you've got to find a toilet like in the middle of New York City or something like that. It's like a real difficulty. You get problems from restaurants and stuff like that. They don't want everybody coming in and using their toilet and so on and so forth. So I think, in my opinion, that's one of the biggest issues. Like New York City, in my memories of being in New York, I mean, so in my memories of New York City, is definitely one of the issues in this toilet. You know, I mean, look at ancient Rome. Toilets everywhere. Well, a lot of ancient civilizations had a lot of public waste. Like that was an important issue. I mean, it still is an important issue, right? Getting rid of the waste and stuff like that. It's on a gigantic scale. The scale of it, when you think about it, like if you this is kind of weird to start thinking about, but I'm thinking about it. So you could measure, you could like make a measurement of like how many metric tons of fecal matter there are in a city per day. I'm sure they have departments who have it down to like not the ton, but down to at least to the hundreds of pounds. You know, like I mean, if you think about like the pure tonnage of sewage that comes out of the city, or fecal matter or urinary matter and stuff like that. I mean, it's got to be like so. I mean, it's such a big number. It's probably hard to comprehend. You know, I mean, you could like put it in relevant in comparison with like cigarette smokers, right? So you see people who smoke cigarettes cigarette smokers in and they throw the cigarette butts away or something like that. And start thinking about like how much tonnage those cigarette butts cause and waste and refuse to in the city. Right? You can put a pretty good number on that too, right? Like the weight of and size of cigarettes, cigarette refuse, right? So if you think cigarette refuse is like a big deal, think about human refuse. It's like literally thousands of times bigger than that. I mean, I don't mean I'm not just justifying cigarettes or anything like that. I'm just saying that the magnitude of things. I just so having any idea how how much. Anyway, certainly some an issue that cities and municipalities have to deal with. Anyway, making our way back. Um, lately, I've been having vivid dreams from the aforementioned cleansing of my body, chemical agents, but really vivid dreams. So vivid, like when I would wake up, and I would not know where I was. I'd wake up, I think I was at a different time in a different place. Like a different city. Some I had experienced already in my life. Like a time and a place, 20, 30, 35 years ago, or something like that. And like I'd get up and I'd like think that just for that, like I don't know how long, but I'll use the word split second, just for that brief moment, I was alive and actually alive in that time, 25, 35 years ago, feeling those feelings, emotions, and stuff like that, and feeling my body as if it were from that time or something like that. I don't know. I think that's kind of esoteric, right? But kind of weird to have such clear and vivid dreams and not clear. Other so not to have like dreams that are like fantastical or anything like that. Just like reliving dreams, reliving past experiences. You know, and I think that's kind of interesting because like I don't recall having any fantastical dreams lately. Like I mean, so I guess like people have dreams sometimes. Like and I've had them dreams of or you're flying or rafting or something, doing something. Like that's physically impossible. But these dreams that I have, they're so vivid that and but they're also so filled with regret at the way things worked out. Because I feel like I failed miserably, in many aspects of my life. And I don't mean like, I do mean like, okay, let me be much. This is a different why. It's beautiful also. Um, I don't mean like, I mean, I do mean it in every sense of the word, but specifically in the dreams, I feel like my failures are to the people that I love, like, and I've loved. Like I haven't taken the time out to tell somebody who had expressed to me that they loved me, you know. And maybe I didn't take the time to tell them back how much they really mattered to me, how much I really loved them, you know, and that every moment was remembered, you know, that I remember every moment. And those moments are just so precious, you know, but I didn't take the time to give uh, verbal appreciation to the person who was showing me love. And I think that's a big regret I have. There are people out there that I truly wish to, you know, let them know how much, you know, it's meant to me, you know. And I just never, I just don't feel like I ever really fully expressed myself clearly enough to not have that feeling of regret. You know, sometimes I've sent people I haven't seen or heard from years. I'll send them a message. It's very rare. I mean, a couple times I've done it, you know, to try to express that my admiration. I'm not talking. Yeah, I mean, it's more of admiration, love humanity, and stuff like that. I'm not talking about the act of um, I'm talking about the humanity of it. You know, I didn't take time enough to say things. You know, I have a regret. You know, one of my regrets is when the last time I saw my mother. My mother was very sick, but I still have so many questions about like what was going on and stuff like that. But like she had, you know, um, 4 children, me being one of them, and we were called back, basically, you know, from saying goodbye. So I was living in Thailand at the time, so I have to say, you know, I'm coming back. You know, came back, spent, you know, only allowed 5 days. Right, this was the plan, was to spend 5 days, and I spent 5 days with her, just sitting with her. She was fully cognizant, pretty much. And she was in a lot of pain, and she lost a lot of weight. Um, and so I just sat with her for like 5 days. Arun Sawat. So, yeah, we talked about things. You know, she knows. You know, that, you know, it's very clear our mutual love for each other. With the son. But thing is, I knew she was sick, you know, and I knew that this might be, or this was probably going to be the last time that was going to. And so when it came time to go, I had a plane flight. No, ah! That flight, I remember specifically, it was that day of the Boston Marathon, where there was a bomb that went off. Those two brothers set off a bomb at the Boston Marathon. That was the day that I was en route back to Thailand, but that hadn't happened yet. That was later in the day. สวัสดีครับอรุณสวัสดิ์สบายดีครับ So, um, I just really remember that moment. That came time that I had to go, like taxi. And I'm standing out there at 4 o'clock in the morning or something. Her husband standing next to me, like he wanted me to go. You know, and I just said goodbye to my mother. Uh, held her hand just before I was standing outside, obviously, and held her hand, and uh, she kissed me on the forehead. She said to me, she said, "You go home now. You go home and be with your wife." And then I left. I remember standing outside the house, waiting for the taxi to come, and I knew she was inside in the bed. I was standing outside with her husband, and I'm like, everything uh, in my soul just told me that this is wrong. You know, that I should go back into the house. I should be with her until her last breath. She wanted to be respectful of her. She, told me, "You go home now. You go home and be with your wife." And I had to listen. I really uh, regret that. You know, and she was passed on uh, maybe a month later or something like that, and I didn't have much money. Um, or yeah, and I was in the middle. I mean, like things were really topsy turvy. And when she had passed, like she was like cremated, and there was a quick funeral for her, and done by her husband and her sister, my aunt, had come up to for the ceremony and bury my mother. And I wasn't there. And shortly before, because I had the warning when there was the funeral, it's a it's a 24-hour flight, you know. And my brother lives in Japan. He lived there most of his life, and so this time we were still talking, and I mentioned to him. I said, Mom, funeral is coming up. Shouldn't we go? Shouldn't we be there? And his reply to me was, he didn't see much point in standing over a hall remembering somebody who had just died. And I never forgot that it's pretty much word for word what he said. And I didn't go to the funeral. I mean, I would have, you know, I don't even, I would have had to borrow the money to go, and I should have, and I didn't. I didn't go because I was influenced. It's not my brother's fault that I didn't go. I'm not saying it's his fault. But I was influenced by that statement, and I thought about it for years since, you know, and you know, there have been other people who have passed away who I haven't been to their funerals, so I wish I'd gone. You know, I don't. I'm trying to think of if I've ever been to. I've been to Thai funerals, but I don't think I've ever been to a funeral of anyone in the West that I've ever known. I mean, I'm talking about ever. I can't remember being in the. I remember I was outside the funeral home of for the brother of somebody I knew. We were doing just not really going through the funeral process. Anyway, but I thought about it I still think about it to this day. Like you know that my brother saying I don't see much point standing over a hole to think about somebody who just passed away. And I came to the conclusion a long time ago. I haven't changed. I haven't changed my opinion about my conclusion yet, although it may evolve. And that is that funerals aren't necessarily for the for the dead people. And it is. We say it's paying respects to the past, people have passed, and, and such. But it is more of a commemoration of life, and for the community that is still living, and the family members that are still living to experience unity, rebirth through death. And for my aunt's sake, for my mother's sake, for the whole, the only people who went to my mother's funeral that I know of was her sister and her husband, who I had been friendly with um, all the time that I known them, except up until the last bit portion of my mother's life, for reasons which I won't discuss right now. But I have very solid, at least I believe, reasons for feeling the way I feel. Anyway, um, she did tell me, that he made her the happiest time she'd ever been in her life. I have to believe that's true. You know, I just have to believe it. So anyway, I thank everybody for coming out today for this uh, Outcast podcast. Um, Thank you for being with me on a beautiful day, beautiful morning. May everybody live as much peace and happiness as we possibly and good health as we can, and treat each other as best we can. God bless you all. Love you all, and see you in the next. See you next the next time.